Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA business for sale in the automotive niche. Created in January 2016, this business makes $6,686 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the business is 44794. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. And Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
It is my pleasure to dive into this business with you. You built a $180,000 business. That is no small feat, and I'm looking forward to asking you how you did it. Before I get to the questions, though, I want to go ahead and run through a little quick summary of the business, and then we'll get to the questions. Again, the business was built in January of 2016, has a monthly revenue of $18,799, expenses of $12,113 to make for a net profit of $6,686, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the Seller Central account and one SKU. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price. Further details can be provided to active depositors. And Tony, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So I moved to Hong Kong when I was 19 to work for a importer in the UK who was buying products in China for a major retailer back in Europe. A couple of years later, at 21, I decided to set up my own trading business, import-export business. And I started selling products to retailers such as Tesco, O2, Marks and Spencer's, Orange, Vodafone, major telephones companies and retailers back in Europe. I set up an office in China and Hong Kong, had a team running that. And for 8 years, I was selling millions of units a year out of China on a bulk basis. So I'd get an order for 1,000, 10,000 or 50,000 units and sell it. And that's what I was doing with a QC team, managing the supply chain, everything out of the Hong Kong and China offices. I wanted to change because I'd always been based in China. I'd been into China 500 plus times. I was visiting 3-4 factories a day. So I started to shift to looking at online opportunities. And so I was offered an opportunity to work in Japan on a software technology project related to import-export. So I shifted to doing that. And over the last few years, my main focus has been around software for international trade, import-export, and logistics. I heard of a few friends selling on Amazon, and given my network of suppliers, my network of good quality control people that I used to work with, I felt really confident in developing products because I have a strong background in that. I decided to test a few different items I thought could potentially do well on Amazon based on my understanding of what makes for a successful product. And having tested a couple of items, this particular product was my favorite of those. So it got my main focus at the time. And I optimized the listing, optimized the product, drove down the costs of the product, improved the quality. And that's really how the business came to light. It was really a referral from a friend in the Amazon space that you should check out Amazon, especially given your product knowledge. And because Amazon, they do all the warehousing, they do most of the customer service. I send in a few thousand units, they ship it out one by one for me. It was really hands-off. So it was a perfect blend between online and still physical product for me.
And now you're sitting here and you settled upon this one product. It's selling really well. It's driving this entire business here. So when looking at this, why did you decide to focus on one product rather than have a multiple of SKUs that you can sell?
Okay, so I initially tested some products. This one was the best, and I decided to keep running with this one. But at the time, I also then started a software business for Amazon. My software business for Amazon, our customers did over $1 billion in FBA sales last year. So my focus shifted from the Amazon business to running the software business full time. I mean, we had thousands of businesses using our tool for Amazon. It took up most of my day, night, and weekend. And so really, I stopped all development on my Amazon product business itself. It's been very hands-off in the last year and a half, 2 years. I've done minimal amount of work towards it. I wanted to add additional SKUs in the same niche because I think it's very good. Based on my keyword research, based on my ranking research, the same as I did for this product, I identified a few other opportunities of other SKUs I can add in the same categories. But my main focus shifted to the software tool at the time, simply because that took off and just required a lot more effort, energy, and time than the products business did.
So is that why you've decided to sell the business today so you can focus on the software venture?
Correct, yes. For me, it's more of my sweet spot, the software now. And I've devoted very little time to the Amazon business. I do want to devote my full time to the software projects that I'm working on.
So when looking back at this business then, you mentioned that you aren't able to put a ton of time into it. But as you and I were speaking about before the call, while the business is seasonal, so what you're seeing in the summer is higher than what you'll see in February, it's still a lot higher, significantly higher than it was in the summer season last year. So without putting a ton of time in, what has contributed to the growth here?
Okay, so I honestly think it's a lot to do with the ranking factors on Amazon and the quality of the product, in that Amazon devotes maybe, no one knows this for sure, only Amazon do. So if a product's been selling for a week, it's far less likely to rank than a product that's been selling for 6 months or a year, because part of the ranking will be based on how it's been selling over the last week. Part of the ranking will be based on how it's been selling the last month. And part of the ranking will be how it's been selling a year or more. So this product has had an amazing track record with Amazon year to year. The quality and the returns have been good, really low returns and good quality. And Amazon even labeled the product Amazon Choice and marked that it had a much lower return rate than other products in the same exact niche. And I think the fact that it's been selling a long time, the quality's been good, the seller account has more than 1,000 plus positive reviews. The product itself has, hundreds of positive reviews as well. So those factors have helped it to grow over time. So I haven't spent any more on advertising. I haven't done any additional marketing. I haven't changed the product. I haven't optimized it at all. And year to year, it's been growing really strongly, just purely organically, as a result of having invested time up front to make a good quality product and just hitting the sweet spot for the market. And now it has that track record behind it. The product, I usually try to keep it in stock all the time. I don't like going out of stock. I always try to plan that very carefully. I had a couple of days where it was out of stock. It came back in stock, bang, straight back up to number one for its particular niche, because it's just, this product has been ranked so long that it's got that weight behind it that helps it. And also what I found is this product is now recommended with a lot of other products in the same bigger category. So if someone buys a related product that they might need for their car, this one gets recommended. And as a result of that, there's more sales coming in from all of these. I like to think of them as mini streams and rivers of customers flowing to the product. The conversion rate is very, very high. Also, around 35-40% of people who actually click on the product and look at it buy it on the spot. So for e-commerce, that's massive. You would expect 1 to 2% normally. Amazon 10% plus is good, but this product converts very, very highly at 35%. And so the quality factors, the conversion rate, the length of time it's been selling, all of these help towards boosting the product itself. So although I've put in very little time, the initial effort I did put into making as good as possible with my manufacturing base has paid off in the long run.
So then, speaking on that little time that you've put in, if you had to quantify that, how many hours per week are you putting into this business?
Honestly, it's less than one and a half.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do during that time? Is it really just looking at the product and making sure it stays in stock? Is that all you do?
Mainly looking at the product to make sure it stays in stock, maybe slightly adjusting the price because, for example, it's a seasonal product in 2 quarters of the year. And during that time, demand can skyrocket. So suddenly it can go to selling very, very quickly. And I want to balance selling as well as replenishing the stock. So I find I have to increase the price through those periods. So periodically I go in, I check how it's selling. I increase the price if it's selling too quickly to keep it at a pace where I can keep a steady supply coming in, no problem. There's no limit on supply. I mean, if I needed to order 100,000 units, I could do that. But I prefer to order batches of a reasonable size. And so if it starts to sell on very high demand, I increase the price a little, it comes down. That's one of the things I need to do. The other is there's a few customer emails that do come in, very few though, just a handful a week. That just takes literally maybe 20, 30 minutes to answer anything that comes up. Usually we have an automated email that goes out saying, hey, how was your product? How was your order? Sometimes that automated email can go out 1 or 2 hours before they actually get delivery. So a customer might reply and say, hey, I haven't actually got it yet. That isn't my responsibility as an Amazon seller. Amazon is the one who's responsible for delivering it to the customer, so it's not really a customer issue. But the handful of emails that do come in is what takes up the rest of the time. So it's managing the price, the inventory, and replying to anything that does come in. I don't spend time optimizing the ads. I haven't since I set them up. I don't spend time optimizing the listing, the pictures, the keywords. I haven't since I set it up a long time ago either.
Then when you say ads, do you mean Amazon pay-per-click?
Yes, Amazon pay-per-click.
Mm-hmm. Have you explored doing anything outside of Amazon for marketing?
I haven't for this item.
And is that purely just a time commitment thing?
It's a time constraint, yes, absolutely, yeah.
So then if you were to look forward and just imagine that you had a little more time to invest, what do you feel are the opportunities for growth that you would try to take advantage of?
Okay, so the product ranks for lots of related keywords, but for very different products in the same category. So it's on page 1 for multiple other keywords of not the same item, different niches. So to me, that shows me that those keywords and those other niches are not very competitive. There's an opportunity to sell that product, the other products that it ranks for, and also then cross-sell the items. Because if you buy one, you need the other. That's why this has been selling well, is because people are buying the other products and then purchasing this item with it because they need both. So there's an opportunity to add more SKUs. That's one opportunity. The second is I haven't built a separate website for it, a Shopify site. I haven't tried to drive traffic from outside of Amazon to the product. I haven't reached out to influencers, reviewers to showcase the product. I haven't tried to sell it in other channels, other e-commerce channels as well. So all of those doors are still open to be explored for this particular item. By itself, it's selling fantastically well and growing organically. That's the kind of thing with a bit of effort that could, double, triple the size of the business, because now if you have 2 SKUs, 3 SKUs, 4 SKUs in a general category, you're increasing the business. And also, this item's seasonal. There's other items that are less seasonal that it ranks for. So it helps to balance out and smooth out the sales of the business throughout the year as well by doing that. I think that's a good opportunity for the product. And then the listing itself, I haven't optimized in well over a year and a half. The images, the keywords. So things can be done to improve the existing product too. Going back over the hundreds of reviews that have been left to find ideas for how to make a better V2 or V3, version 2, version 3 of the same item as well. Tweaks to the design, tweaks to the packaging. All of those opportunities still exist on the item.
Do you feel like there are any major potential risks associated with this business that you feel a new buyer should be aware of?
Sure. Okay. So the number one risk I would say is Amazon. It's the greatest benefit for the business and also the greatest risk for the business. Because one, Amazon handle all of the warehousing, the customer service, the returns. They also bring you all of this traffic. So at the same time, though, then the business is coupled to Amazon. Amazon's growing really well. The number of Prime users has shot up from 50 million to 100 million. And Amazon's dominating the e-commerce space. But, the growth of the business is really due to Amazon having all of its traffic. So it relies on Amazon. So therefore, Amazon is also the greatest risk. That risk can be reduced in several ways. One is to look at some of these other e-commerce channels that exist, from Jet to Walmart to your own shop. The other is having additional SKUs as well. And it's really a bet on, will Amazon keep growing over the next 5 to 10 years? To me, I can honestly say I feel that it's still very early days for Amazon. They're opening in a lot of other markets. The growth is huge. The other opportunity I didn't mention, which your question just now reminded me, is it's only selling Amazon USA. There's Amazon Europe, there's Australia, Amazon Japan, Brazil. The product can be taken to those other markets as well as additional SKUs if they're sold. And that will reduce the risk of relying on one market as much too, because currently it just sells Amazon USA. So I would say that's the main risk, because on the supply side, there's hundreds of, with any product in China, let's say it's a wine glass, let's say it's a mouse, a keyboard, there's other suppliers who can make something similar to that item. So If there's problems with one supplier, then you could always shift to another. I don't think that is a big risk for the business, especially given that it has a very strong supply chain for this particular item. I would say it's on the front end and the sales coming through Amazon. So to mitigate that would be the most important thing to do over time.
When speaking about Amazon FBA, you have a lot of experience with this, and then you also have software that works with Amazon. So I guess my next question is, if someone were looking at this and thinking, oh, I could start an Amazon FBA business, what would be your big piece of advice to someone starting out?
To starting out on Amazon FBA, I would say that it's the best place to start an e-commerce business because they handle 90% of the hard work, being driving traffic, getting sales, managing the warehousing, managing the logistics and returns. I would say if you're going into Amazon, you don't want to overcomplicate things too much. Some people get analysis paralysis. They're not sure what product to do. Some people jump in and do 20 products as soon as possible without really thinking through anything that they're doing. I think it's better to take it one step at a time. Understand that the first 6 to 12 months is a learning curve. Not to expect immediate returns and profit, but to say, okay, I'm going to get into this space. I'm going to allow time to learn from it. I might win some money. I might lose some money. I'm not going to bet too much. I'll put some money down on the table. I'll get started in it. I'll see how it performs. And over time, you start to learn how the Amazon system works. Then you can really start to see where the opportunities lie, where you can improve and optimize. To expect to come in to Amazon and in the first 3 months make a killing is very unrealistic. But if you have the patience to say, okay, I'm just going to let this product tick along, watch what happens, adjust things slightly, test one or two new products, learn from those, take all of that feedback. In 6 to 12 months, you'll know enough to then confidently add additional SKUs, optimize the listing better. It's just to allow that learning time in this particular space.
And then you also need to realize which products are doing well to be able to put your time and effort behind that product. How do you identify which products are ranking and doing well with Amazon?
Okay, so I would say that's become harder because the people who are entrenched with good products kind of have an advantage in certain niches. For example, this product, it might go out of stock. The price is much higher than some of the competitors' products. It still sells fantastically well and it's still number one because it's got that weight of years behind it. So in identifying new products to do, I would be looking for where the particular niche is underserved in terms of optimizing of the listings mainly. One, it has to be selling well enough. I mean, if the top 10 in total only sell $10,000 worth a month between them, you're not going to make any money there. But if the top 10 products in a niche are selling enough where if you are one of those top 10, so the average of the top 10 was you, so 10% of what the top 10 are selling, if that number makes sense and the listings don't seem to be that well optimized, they don't have all the keywords in place, the images aren't great, that would be the niche where I would attack, where there's good sales and under-optimized listings. And a lot of people would say, well, it's very hard to find that nowadays. I would agree, definitely, but it's still there on Amazon for sure. Sectors where there's a few people who have been selling for a long time, no one's really looked at those products, and someone who comes in with a fresh eye creates something a little better using the reviews and the information about what customers have said about the other products to make a better version too of what's out there, can still do very well in the space.
And Tony, would you commit to a non-compete?
Yeah, for sure. Because I want to shift all my focus to the software I'm doing, so I have no problem signing a non-compete.
And how much support are you willing to offer a new owner during the transition period?
I'm willing to be flexible. I mean, if it's someone totally new and they want advice through email and Skype, I'd be happy to commit to X number of emails, calls over a period of 1 to 3 months if necessary. I mean, I can't answer stuff 12 hours a day every day, but if someone has a question, they want to jump on a call for 30 minutes to discuss, I have no issue doing that for a period of, say, 30 to 90 days after the sale of the business. Even after that, I mean, feel free to shoot me a message or an email if something comes up that you want some advice on. I have exported more than 10 million units out of Asia to Europe worked with hundreds of factories on hundreds of products. So there may be some advice that I can offer that would help, especially in developing a new second item. But yeah, absolutely, I'll be willing to help someone out to get started on the business. It really depends on time zones. I mean, if they're on one time zone or on another, it might be a little trickier to schedule a call, but I'll be happy to make the arrangements to be there for the new buyer.
Are you willing to discuss something like an earnout?
Yes.
Awesome. And Tony, thank you so much. I do have another question for you, but before we get to that, I want to go ahead and run through that quick summary of the business again. The business was built in January of 2016, has a monthly revenue of $18,799, expenses of $12,113 to make for a net profit of $6,686, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the Seller Central account and one SKU. Please note the inventory is not normally included in the list price. Further details can be provided to active depositors. And Tony, if you could place yourself in the objective shoes of a potential buyer, why do you feel like this is a business worth buying?
Okay, so it really depends on the buyer's situation. So there's two types of people I think this would suit. One is someone who does have Amazon experience, because there's been very little done to optimize the particular product and also then expand the range. So someone with Amazon experience could come in, they could optimize the existing product, increase the profit of that, and then leverage the selling history of the product and the account and also the category and add additional SKUs. Someone with Amazon experience could do that relatively easy. And then the other buyer who I think it kind of would work well for is someone who is relatively new to the e-commerce space or has less Amazon experience, because you're not trying to manage 10 products or 20 products. It's one main SKU. It's very simple to manufacture. It's selling very well. It needs very little time to it as well. So if someone who is outside of the e-commerce space wants to come into it, it's a great way to get a feel for understanding Amazon, having a product which is generating profits, using those profits and then reinvesting into expanding the business with new products if they wanted to. It's very hands-off. I mean, the amount of time I've had to put in over the last year and a half is minimal, but yet it's still been growing extremely strongly. The profits over the last few months have been fantastic. And there's been nothing on my side to generate those profits. It's a result of the history and the strength of the product and the business itself.
And Tony, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
Me too. Thank you very much for having me on the call.
It is my pleasure. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you. You'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.